Look at a map of the Earth, and the land masses are neatly divided by borders and claimed by sovereign governments. But at the bottom of the globe sits a continent nearly twice the size of Australia that legally belongs to no one. To understand what will happen to this territory in the coming decades, we have to look at the specific legal architecture that currently holds it together. This globe shows the region's sheer size. The entire continent of Europe easily fits inside its borders. It is the driest, windiest place on Earth. Beneath its 3-mile-thick frozen shield lies the world's largest reserve of fresh water, oil, and natural gas. The only reason human industry has not yet extracted these resources is because the lethal environment makes it nearly impossible to do so. In the early 1900s, pushing into the continent's interior was defined by extreme endurance and survival. Ernest Shackleton's Imperial Trans-Antarctic Expedition became the defining example of this struggle. In 1915, his ship, the Endurance, became hopelessly trapped and crushed in the pack ice, leaving his crew stranded in the freezing darkness. Surviving these early expeditions required immense physical and psychological endurance from leaders like Shackleton, many of whom suffered severe frostbite and starvation. But the motivations for these journeys quickly evolved. What began as a quest for geographic discovery soon turned into a race for national expansion. As this map shows, by the 1940s, 7 different countries had staked permanent claims on the continent. Great Britain, Argentina, and Chile all claimed the same region along the Antarctic Peninsula, creating overlapping conflict zones. By treating the ice like any other colonial conquest, these nations set the stage for a geopolitical war. During the Second World War, the British Admiralty launched Operation Tabarin. Its goal was to establish permanent British bases and assert dominance over South American incursions into the region. The friction escalated after the war. In February 1952, a British team attempting to unload supplies at Hope Bay was met by the Argentine military, who fired a machine gun over their heads. The United Kingdom retaliated by dispatching naval warships to the continent, landing armed Marines at the scene to reassert control of the base. A previous diplomatic agreement, the Tripartite Naval Declaration, had attempted to keep warships away from the continent. It failed to resolve the core border disputes that were causing the friction. With claims overlapping and militaries actively mobilizing, Antarctica was rapidly becoming another active theater of the Cold War. The escalation was halted not by politicians but by scientists. In 1957, a global initiative called the International Geophysical Year forced the competing militaries to pause their territorial rivalries and focus on studying the Earth. 12 rival nations built over 55 cooperative research stations across the ice, sharing logistics and data to survive the conditions. Countries that had recently been at war found themselves working in close proximity. Japan brought the icebreaker Soya down to establish the Showa Station, contributing to the international observation effort. This extended truce demonstrated to global superpowers that sharing resources and information was far more beneficial than fighting over frozen borders. In 1959, the 12 nations involved in the scientific effort met in Washington to sign the Antarctic Treaty, translating their temporary truce into permanent international law. To bypass the border disputes that nearly caused a war, the treaty utilized a unique legal maneuver in Article 4. As this diagram illustrates, it effectively froze all existing territorial claims in place. No country had to surrender their claim, but no country could enforce or expand it either. With the borders neutralized, the treaty went further, establishing absolute bans on military bases, maneuvers, and the testing or disposal of nuclear weapons. 30 years later, the international community expanded on this foundation. In 1991, they adopted the Madrid Protocol, which instituted a strict 50-year ban on all mining and oil exploration. Through these legal agreements, a contested war zone was successfully converted into a permanent sanctuary dedicated to peace and science. The survival of the Antarctic sanctuary now dictates the stability of the global climate. This map shows the Antarctic polar front. The Southern Ocean acts as a thermal engine, regulating ocean currents and distributing cold water and nutrients to ecosystems all over the world. As the data here models, the melting of Antarctic ice correlates directly with worldwide sea level rise. If the physical integrity of the ice shelves is compromised, the disruption extends globally. The environmental collapse of the continent would flood the coastal cities of the very nations that currently govern it. Yet, as global resources dwindle and extraction technology improves, the massive reserves of oil, gas, and minerals locked beneath the ice are becoming economically viable. The legal shield protecting those resources has a hard deadline. In the year 2048, the Madrid Protocol's strict ban on mining and drilling becomes eligible for legal review, opening the door for its potential abolition. The physical fracturing of the ice shelves mirrors the creeping strain on the diplomatic agreements holding the competing nations at bay. For now, the pristine expanse of the continent remains intact, protected by the signatures on a treaty signed over 60 years ago. As the ice thaws and the global demand for resources peaks, the international community will soon have to decide if a peace treaty forged in the 20th century can withstand the economic pressures of the 21st.